I'm going to repeat some stuff, the background of this situation that just about everybody here knows, but just to lay the foundation. There were some, at the beginning of July, Veolia Transportation took over the management of the Boston school bus operation. And from the very start, they have been violating the collective bargaining agreement between the bus drivers and the city, even after signing an agreement to not do so. On the 8th of October, some workers in the yard arrived to work, and the situation there wasn't right in several bus yards. There were present upper management from Veolia and I think from the school administration, which was unusual at 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So the workers were upset. Were upset. They saw that something was afoot, and they had over 100, I think 172 unsolved grievances which they had filed in the short period, and they demanded meetings with management at that time, which the management did not respond to them with any meetings or promise any meetings later on, and instead proceeded a little bit later in the morning to lock the workers out of the bus yards. Fortunately, there is one friendly councilman in Boston that actually went to one of the bus yards that morning, and he was, along with the bus drivers, evicted from the property. He called a hearing to investigate Veolia's actions, and that hearing was held last night at the Boston City Council. His name is Councilor Charles Yancey. The order that Councilor Yancey put out requested the presence of representatives of the Veolia Corporation, the school administration, the mayor, who actually had been doing many press releases and interviews, vilifying the drivers and referring to them as horrible people, basically, and that they should be fired. He did not show, neither did Veolia or any representative for the company or the school, the school administration. The only people that showed, and they showed in force, was the bus drivers. There were 6 representatives who made presentations in the hearing, but in attendance, 3 overflow rooms were filled in addition to the main hearing hall, which held about 150 people. I think in total there were probably close to 250 people in attendance. I think Councilor Yancey mentioned that I think that was the largest public hearing he'd ever witnessed in Boston City Council. Now that's just a little over. Let's get back to some of the. After Yancey introduced the hearing and read his order, he asked for presentations from the bus drivers, and Steve Kirschbaum was the first person to make a presentation. He introduced everyone and made a general description of everything that had happened up to that point. He also introduced the other drivers, and they described the incidents that happened in the yards in the morning, and they talked about the grievances and all the problems they have with the company. The hearing we thought was going to last probably an hour, but the spirit of the bus drivers and the support in the room was such that I think it infected everyone, and the hearing went on for 2.5 hours. And at the end, it didn't actually end. It was recessed. The hearing was held in the committee headed by Councilor Arroyo, who is a young councilman in Boston. He opened the hearing, but he had to leave after an hour or so, he excused himself after an hour, and turned over the gavel to Councilman Yancey, who was then the chair of the proceedings. And at the end, he decided that he felt really disrespected that the company and the school and the mayor did not show, and he was very angry. And I think the corporation is going to be really upset that this hearing is actually not over, because they boycotted it in hopes, I'm sure, that it would just go away. I think they're realizing, and they have been for some time now, realizing that they've messed with the wrong union, I think. The Boston school bus drivers is not just any union, as we know here. This is a union that has tremendous support in the community, and even though this community was blitzed with all kinds of unfavorable press coverage starting on the 8th, it started to turn around slowly after a couple of weeks or so. The drivers have had about 6 demonstrations in the last couple of weeks, and one of the things Steve Kirschbaum said to me after the hearing was that, somebody from the International mentioned that you should probably go slow because you might burn these folks out, and he said, no, not these guys. These guys are not going to burn out, and last night was evidence of this. Really, I mean, the largest public hearing in Boston's city history, I mean, the last 30 years anyway, with one side showing up. It was just tremendous. And then at the end we had a raucous rally outside, and even before we left the building, we were chanting in the building, and the security, the police, everybody they were just like statues in the room. They said nothing, and I was told, normally that just wouldn't happen. You'd be escorted out and threatened with all kinds of arrests and stuff. But this is what the struggle does. It reminded me, and I told this to Steve, if everybody remember 2006, when we went down to Foley Square on May Day, and the cops who were supposed to be providing security penned themselves in because we were just too huge, and they weren't needed anyway. So that's kind of what happened in City Hall at the end last night. The cops were just like fixtures in the room, and we were just chanting, and we weren't doing anything disrespectful, or we were walking out. We were just leaving, and people were in a good mood, and we're chanting. And I'm sure that the Boston school bus drivers are going to win. Thank you.